This is the award-winning Lee Pitts Live.
Brought to you by the North Law Firm. For car accidents and negligent security cases, call Joe at 239-337-1191. By Crime Stoppers of Southwest Florida. Report crimes and get paid with nobody knowing your identity. 1-800-700-TIPS. And by Lee Health.
Well, welcome to Southwest Florida and beyond, and actually globally. Welcome to a new edition of Lee Pitts Live. And actually what it's going to be today is a continuation of the autobiography of the one, the only, Lee Pitts. The first part you saw was interviewed by Esmond Lewis. And then today, me, Joe North, I'm going to do the second part of the interview. As some of you may know, I'm an attorney here in town and I handle personal injury cases. But today, I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to interview my good friend, Mr. Lee Pitts. Welcome to your own show, Lee.
When you say welcome to my own show, man, I still get a little bit of goosebumps in the whole idea that it is my own show, because I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would ever be on television. And secondly, to know that I get an opportunity to be interviewed by somebody like you. So my television show has brought me around circles and talking to various people. So it's really cool to have you here to interview me, somebody who I've known for over 25 years. And so it's really cool. You know, thanks for having me here for the autobiography.
On your own show.
On my own show. Thanks for having me, man.
You're welcome. Well, you know, when you left off with Esmond Lewis, you guys were talking about your accomplishments in high school and a little bit beyond that. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I'd like for you to tell everybody about is your transition from high school into college and anything that was kind of interesting along the way. As time has passed and I started, years later, I started speaking in different places. And then I started to find out that how I even ended up in college is something that students found to be very interesting, people, when I go to speak. And I see it as a miracle that had a lot of angels associated with me even being in college. Growing up, the idea of going to college was never talked about at my house. I never saw myself as being a college student. My mom never finished high school. And the big thing around the house was, hey, just graduate from high school, make me proud, because my mom was raising 7 kids by herself. So anyway, luckily, by a stroke of happenstance, I ended up in college. Not just a miracle, quickly. I had a friend in the neighborhood named Jay. We were both basketball standouts, point guard, shooting guard, things like that. We played basketball together as kids. He and I were going to work at the phone company when we got out of high school. Flip the phone book, you get an easy job. That was my goal. Yeah. Somebody called in, want a number, director assistants, may I help you? You're sitting down, you answer the phone, 411. Director assistant. Anyway, we didn't even know the concept of you got to fill out paperwork, you got to do an application, you might get hired, be an operator, you might not. So anyway, I go around to his house that summer. And it was the end of summer. It was time to go work, apply to the phone company. We had already finished high school. So I go to his house, back door, I can see it like yesterday, standing in the project. I said, Jay, it's time for us to go to the phone company for our job. Jay said, I'm not going to work at the phone company. I'm going to college. That was my buddy. I said, what do you mean you're going to college? He said, I'm going to college. I got my roommate name and everything. My sister filled out all my paperwork for me. She did all the stuff with the college. His sister had gone to Talladega College, and he was going to be going in about 4 weeks. He was going to be going to Talladega College, leaving me in the hood in Collegeville housing projects. Okay. And people at home, y'all watching this is how I ended up in school. They know Jay. Jay has since passed away. Passed away about 2 years ago. But so I just thought he was leaving me back, had stabbed me in the back. He didn't got into college, so I asked the magic question, do you think I can get in college? He said, yeah, but I got in. You should be able to get in. You got better grades than me. You're the president of the student body and all these other trappings. And I got in. And I said, well, what did you do to get in college? We have already graduated. College is going to start that fall. He was already in. And freshman orientation was going to be in about 4 weeks. And he said, I don't know all the details of it. My sister's in there who helped me, who did all the paperwork.
and I asked her. She gave me a phone number. I called, and then when they saw my transcript and my biography, my recommendations from the teachers, they brought me into the school, even though they had already filled to capacity. They brought me in, put me in some temporary housing, and there I was in college.
Wow. I can see why you say, you know, a lot of angels
Yeah.
were around you. And what I also take away from that is iron sharpens iron. You know, you and Jay were of the same mindset, and because of what he was doing, you said, you know what, let me follow that.
That's right.
So that was pretty good.
Right, and just to add on to that, Jay's sister gave me the directions. She was concerned about her brother getting into school and getting off the streets. Jay never graduated. I ended up actually graduating. He quit after I was sophomore year, went into the military, and then I ended up finishing on up and got my 4 years in, and then it worked out. But when I did arrive on campus, just a point, I had a lot of making up to do. Great school I went to, Carver High School, all of that. But I would say there were some deficiencies I had in certain areas like reading, grammar, and things of that nature that traditionally you get in the inner city. So I had to hone in. I took some remedial courses while in school to tighten up on reading and speaking standard English.
Okay.
You can get through life to a certain degree not being able to write well and speak well, but it comes a point when you have to improve on that, and luckily I was able to do that when I got to college and made it out of there.
Okay.
Talladega College, historical black college in Alabama.
All right. Now, you know, when you and I first met 25 years ago or so, you were in banking. And I kind of know a little bit about what brought you here to Fort Myers. I know you started out in Detroit,
Right.
in Jacksonville, and then you came to Fort Myers, the first African-American vice president at one of our major banks here in town.
Who would have thought?
So over the years, all these years you've been in banking, what's some of the best parts of banking, the not so good parts of banking, and what do you think has changed now that we're going towards more e-commerce? Has that affected your job in banking?
Technology has been a huge impact on all people who in the service-related industry, and I would say banking is a service-related industry in general. Getting into banking too, I need to mention that, is that when I took a money in banking course in college. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was just kind of winging it. Took a money in banking course in college and learned all about the Federal Reserve Bank and so on and so forth, and I got interested in it. Then the professor said, hey, you might consider a career in banking. It just stuck with me. Somebody said you can be a banker, and I just said, okay, sounds good to me. So I just started saying, I'm going to be a banker, I'm going to be a banker, and it worked out. And then I went to graduate school, and I got my master's in finance.
Okay.
And then I started interviewing on campus, and then I ended up taking a job at the National Bank of Detroit as a credit analyst, analyzing large commercial loans and writing analysis for the loan officers to make decisions on. And that foundation, that all of that kind of analyst stuff that we were doing, all those long writings of reports and documentation for that particular job that was training us to be loan officers in the field, a lot of that has gone away now with technology. Computers are doing what they do. You have all kinds of programming that can analyze a company. So you have to be able to pivot and have other skills. Luckily for me, I had a whole lot of other skills. So one of the things that I like most about banking, when I look back at banking, what I was doing in banking, what I do in banking, I can apply to my normal life as a human being.
Okay.
Whether it's investment opportunities, whether understanding how cash works, understanding how loans works, how the economy works, what's good, what's bad, and I can apply all of that stuff. Just the sheer idea of just having a good credit report, things that people don't take for granted. Working in that bank made me always keep those things on point. And also knowing, taking care of your reputation. When I first got hired in the bank, I will never forget this. They said, hey, you're here on probation for 90 days. We got to do a background check on you and all of this other stuff. The dude took my fingerprints and everything. And man, I was so happy I didn't have anything harsh in my background.
Right.
Having done that though, and being able to help other people get into the industry, other little particularly young, up and coming students who want to get into the field, I've seen them all grow. Richard Fain, for example, I never said this on television. If you pull the famous football player to the side now who went on to become a vice president in banking as well, when he finished his football career. I pulled him to the side, helped him write his resume, walked him literally across the street to a bank that was trying to recruit me and said, this is the guy that you guys should consider. He eventually got an entry-level job and rose through the ranks as a vice president at then Bank of America where he was working. So I got a lot of those little stories in the background as well. You never knew that, did you?
No, no. You always...
Richard always comes up to me and says, Richard, don't talk about it.
Right. But that's two of you who've done very well for us in the banking industry. So Lee, I remember back in the 1990s when you were really heavy into the instructional swimming. You put out the instructional swimming video, and I remember watching the news one morning. It was either Good Morning America or the Today Show, and they featured you on this national show, and I was just so proud to see my friend Lee Pitts doing that. Now keep in mind, that was before we had all of the online shopping and the Amazon. My question to you is, what do you think would have happened if you had done that video after Amazon had come out? Because I remember you telling me that people would write to you all over the country and you would send these videos out.
That's right.
What if online shopping was in place back then?
Two things. I'm glad you raised that. I look at how easy it is now for people to get exposure, whether it's in television or YouTube, telephones, posts, and I realized how difficult it was to get exposure back then, but we didn't realize what technology would be in the future. So when I appeared on those television shows back then, particularly the one that you're talking about was CBS This Morning.
Okay.
People can go on YouTube now and put in CBS and put in Lee Pitts, and it'll all pop up. They can see it now. We just ripped it from DVD and put it over there. But that Learn to Swim DVD still sells. We've now gotten into the whole social media where people can go and order it online because the fundamentals of swimming have not changed.
That's right.
The quality of the product is still the same. It's designed for beginner swimmers, and the fundamentals of swimming are still the same. So we're still benefiting from that. But to your point, it would have been a lot easier. There would have been a lot more revenue coming in. I wouldn't probably be sitting here right now.
Probably a billionaire.
Right, because that was the first Learn to Swim DVD that ever been put out, done by an African American, featuring minority children, and it got all these great reviews around the country. And I did very well on it and still make a $1 or $2 on it now, still to this day. But it would have really skyrocketed had it happened. I'll tell you another thing that happened, though. I did get contacted by that TV show on television where those ladies are shopping back then on television, and they have people coming out modeling things. What was that?
The Home Shopping Network?
Out of Tampa. They were based in Tampa. Might be like H something. Yeah.
Right.
They contacted me, and they wanted to do a piece with me sitting in there, and they pushed the video. But the cut that they had, I'm always thinking like a businessman. They wanted such a large cut on every product sold, and I like to have my profits, Joe. I'm like you. I like to get most of the profit.
I don't blame you. And I remember that the videos were even being rented in Blockbuster. I remember going into Blockbuster,
right.
and your video was in Blockbuster.
Blockbusters, that's a good story. So I go in Blockbusters, right? Just a story for everybody who's watching to understand how you got to hustle, right? So I go in Blockbusters, I look around, they don't have any Learn to Swim videos. This was VHS days.
That's right.
And I look around, and I go to the guy at the front desk, the cashier. I said, do y'all have any Learn to Swim videos in here? The guy said, no. Then I took my video out of my little bag and put it on the table. I said, well, you do now. He said, huh? I said, you do now. Now you got to Learn to Swim video. Now, it's a process of going to the headquarters of Blockbusters and all that. But I worked out some local deals. I found that you can do what's called consignment. You leave them there, they sell them, they give you a profit, a cut. If they don't sell them, they just sit there. And they start selling like hotcakes. I started going on all these local news shows to get the newspaper write articles, and people started going and buying and selling like hotcakes. Then the schools started buying them all around the country.
That's right.
The libraries started buying them. People don't understand there's a big market out there. You go in libraries and you see all that material there. Well, the library buys all that stuff that's in those libraries. And you just got to be one of the vendors who sells them that stuff. So you can go in California, Chicago, and Canada, and different parts of the country. They redubbed it in some places, and people can still get the DVD now because there's always somebody out there looking for the fundamentals of swimming for themselves and their children.
Man, that's great that you started that. Yeah. So switching gears a little bit, I I know with you being in the media, you have media credentials, which will allow you to go to a lot of the arts and entertainment events around town and around the state. And I see you at a lot of them. I remember even seeing you at a Babyface concert over in Miami years ago. So I guess my question to you is, are you going to these events just so that you can bring it to us through, your media eyes, or are you also enjoying the events? Do you really get into the arts?
I'm going to get the freebie, bro. You know what I got to do? I got to start going to those Heat games for free. There's a little paperwork that goes into that, Joe, where you got to, get them your media credentials and all of that. And one of the things that happens, and it happens too when I was on the cover of the video that you talked about, that's what got me into kind of learning about television, that swimming thing, putting it together. When people see that the person that's talking is actually the owner, you probably can relate to that. And your name is on stuff. So when they're talking to me, when Blockbusters, eventually I end up having a meeting with Blockbusters suits later on, when they want to put it in all the Blockbusters. And then when I come into the room and the person who's on the cover of the DVD is actually the person who's talking. They're always looking around like, who are your handlers? Who are your managers? Who are your this? And there are none. It's just me, the little black dude sitting here. You the swimmer, you the talker, you the this, you the manager, because I had the banking background, the finance background, the basic education to represent myself. I know a lawyer like you probably don't want me to represent myself, but I would represent myself all the time.
Those transferable skills.
Transferable skills. And check this out, Joe. Back to what your original question was about press release. Getting into seeing all these different entertainment events and taking my television show there. They're always looking around like, okay, Lee Pitts Live, who's the producer, who's the this? And then I show them my driver's license or whatever. You Lee Pitts, you the guy, you own your own show. Even though I'll let people know this, the big secret, they see my show on Fox 4 every Sunday morning. They see it streaming online. They see it all around the world and on YouTube. But I'm independent. Everything, I make all the decisions. I own the show. Again, you're talking to the person who actually owns the show, which is very rare. Take, for example, you take it for granted. You see me, this Lee got a TV show. But when you think about it, how many people do you know that own their own television show?
You're the only one.
Right. Okay, so you think about the Steve Harveys and the Oprah Winfreys and all of them at the national level. But in local places around the country, I don't know anybody else in a local, as certainly on broadcast television, not on cable, but on broadcast like Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, and PBS. Those are the 4 broadcast channels. These are the channels where people can pick up a show without having cable or any kind of auxiliary type of purchasing to bring the thing into their house. They can just get it because the government requires that those broadcast channels air on all television.
Right.
So we people may not realize it, but there's a lot of people who don't have cable, don't have satellite dish or any of that. They just have a basic TV. They pick up their 5 channels, and they still can pick up Lee Pitts Live on Fox 4.
Okay. Yeah, it's just amazing when I go to these events and I see you there, and I see you enjoying the event, but you're also there with dual responsibility because you're bringing that event to everyone who's not there, and I just think that that's great.
Right. And I do. Okay, let me expound on that. Okay, I'm plugging you, Alice Goethe.
Okay.
You might remember her, Larry Goethe, the martial arts kids,
That's
Baby
right.
V's parents, and all of that back in the day doing martial arts. The mom, Alice,
Right.
had all the boys, and then Baby V and Zenobra, making y'all famous for TV right now. So I first started doing it, and I would go out to places outside of Fort Myers, and I would air it on my show. And I was like, these people don't want to see all this, what's going on in other places. And so then Alice called me up one time, because that was back when you didn't have DVR and all that didn't exist. You just watched the show live and you watched it and that's it. And I said, Alice, she said, Lee, that's so great that you brought this and you did this and you showing us what's going on in other towns. I said, really? She said, yeah, we want to know what's going on in other places too. I was like, wow. I was thinking that people were getting ticked off that I was showing some stuff from Tampa or some stuff in Miami and different places that I was taking the television show. So it really exposes other things as well. And then people contacting me from all over the state of Florida to come and cover their conventions and things of that nature because they don't know anybody who has their own TV show.
And what I found is that the things that you cover are appealing to not just our age group, but people who are older than us and people who are younger than us and even much younger than us. You are appealing to a large spectrum of the public.
Yeah, you have to think that through too, Joe, that you raised that question because, okay, in the early 90s when the show started around 1992, I used to just interview people book guests, interview people. I never thought about how I was breaking it out into how many females, how many males, how many African Americans, Hispanics, whites, and so on and so forth, what age groups. I just interview, you know, people constantly calling you, book them, you know. So I had a female, Janice Cass, come up. You never have females on your show. I'm like, huh? You don't have enough females on your show. Then I got heavy. Then I said, okay. Then I got, because I was interviewing all my boys. I just didn't think about it. Then I started interviewing more females. Then I got heavy in the females. And guys would say, you don't have enough males on the show, man. We going to bring some more brothers on the show. And so, of course, I have all races and demographics on the show. And so you have to think that out. Now I've started to get into some more younger stuff. And it keeps you young, Joe. It keeps you, and now I'm starting to cover up local poetry and jazz lounges and neo soul, going out to help these young entrepreneurs get their ideas to fruition.
Some of the high school athletes.
Yeah, high school athlete. The first, like Ernest Graham, the star NFL football player, Tampa Bay Buccaneers here locally. I don't know these people are going to become what they become, right? One of those persons was Ernest Graham. He got on TV, blah, blah, blah. He was on television. He had a little baseball cap. And then years later, he becomes famous. And he reminds me, Lee, I was a part of that group that came on the show. Then he came back and he talked about it.
And I think a lot of that you've done have given a lot of confidence and stepping stones to some of these young people. Ernest Graham, Baby V, Shari Armstrong, just a lot of them. You can go on and on and on. They've interacted with you, if not on the show, through your swimming instruction. And things that you've planted in them have grown, they're really grown into beautiful flowers.
That swimming program, Lee Pitts Swim School at Stars Complex back in the 90s, that program to me, looking back at it, it was so critical in me getting into the community. When I first came to the area, I was a corporate guy, just mind my own business, go back to my apartment, watch TV, go to work, party, enjoy life. And then the NAACP president at the time, Willie Battle, came up to my office in the bank. And he said, hey, you got to get out of here, man. You up here in this bank. We see you in the newspaper here. You're a little young vice president here, 29 years old. But we don't see you amongst the people. And I'm like, what do you mean amongst the people? I'm just trying to make a living. I didn't understand social consciousness.
Right.
Giving back to the community and all of that. I was just trying to maintain my job, pick up my check, have a good time, drive my little fancy car, and have a good time. But they came into the bank, Willie Ballard and Willie Green, NAACP, and they told me I needed to get into the community. And luckily, I had these swimming skills. I had these unique set of skills from having been a competitive swimmer and coached swim teams long before I was ever a banker or anything. And then they built the Stars Complex. And so as soon as they opened the Stars Complex, I was the first swimming instructor there. I went over there and volunteered with Walt Wesley, and we started this program. That's where I met the Baby V's of the world. They were in my swim program. The Willis, the little boxing champions, the Willis brothers. Shari Armstrong came. She was on the swim team. Now she's doing an outstanding job as an anchor on Fox 4. Baby V went on to fame with American Idol. Ernest Graham went on to fame. Deion Sanders would come by, and he was a college star at the time, just looking in on what was going on. Started meeting all these people. I was in the community. Then I meet Abdul Haq Muhammad. He was in there teaching martial arts. I got involved with the Quality Life Center. And I don't think a day goes by, certainly 2 days doesn't go by that I bump into some kid who's grown now, doing well in life, and say, I was in your swim class, I was in your swim class. Making me feel so old, but I was so good that they remembered me. And they always say, you were a good teacher, so that was cool.
Good, that's very important. One more question before we end part one of the Lee Pitts autobiography. And I guess, Lee, I've always wondered, you are such a public figure. You are a celebrity in reality, okay? When you go out, people are always flocking to you. Do you sometimes wish that you could just go out and be invisible and not have to deal with all the celebrity?
Yeah. Yes and no. Well, the first time that, you know me long enough to know that I've just been a straight-laced banker, right? I saw myself as a banker and a swim instructor, and the TV show was just something I had fun with. The TV show now has morphed into a big brand. There's a lot more responsibility associated there. But getting back to the word celebrity first. So the news press had done some kind of write-up about me about something, and they referred to me as the local celebrity. That was the first time I saw that word attached to my name, because I'm a banker, I'm an MBA, I got on my pinstripe suit, I just go on television, interview people sometimes. I'm not a celebrity or anything amongst the people. And you guys rarely ever see people who see me for the first time in person.
Okay.
It's a whole different reaction that they give me that you guys who are around me all the time, because you all see me when I'm around people who already know me. But if I'm pumping gas at a gas station, say in Naples or in Charlotte County or in a community where people don't recognize me except for having seen me on TV, they'll come running over and I don't know, what are these people running towards me for? And they want autographs and things of that nature, or to take a picture or selfie. Now, that's better now. It's easier because I don't have to sign things. I can just take pictures. But there's no privacy. There is no going somewhere and nobody knows who you are. And that's here in the Fort Myers area where my television show airs. So I've gotten used to how to manage that process. I will have people come up to me and want to get on the show, and they figure, hey, if I'm trying to get on this show, I would have to go through all the producers and everything else. But there's Lee right there sitting in the restaurant. So this is a direct line to him. There's so many people who want exposure. When you walk in that world, you're like, wow, I didn't really realize all these people want exposure. It's second nature to me now, but back then it was a shocker. So people come up, they can be a waitress at a restaurant, they realize who you are, they take their apron off, they're singing for you on the spot. You could be walking on the beach, they'll come up and they'll sing, they'll dance, they'll give some poetry to you, they'll tell you, they'll put their books in your hand. I got this book, I've been trying to get exposure for my book, my new music, I've come up with this formula that's going to cure all back ailments or whatever. And so you become a part of that. Then when you go, but the key is similar to what Shaquille O'Neal said. And you do this already too. Shaquille O'Neal said he was never going to be a recluse. Because sometimes I didn't want to go anywhere. I just didn't want to go because I didn't want to deal with all of that. And I just say, you don't want to be a recluse, because you can find yourself being a recluse and not going to things because you just can't have any privacy.
Right.
And so Shaquille O'Neal, he said he was going to be different from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So when people saw him, it wouldn't be a big deal. So that's why you see he still does that to this day. Just be amongst the people, always out and about, and it's no big deal because you hang out, you're a normal person.
I got you.
He wouldn't be this 7-footer that nobody ever talked to, and then when he comes out, people swamp you. So as you well know, I'm just like a regular dude. People come to Lee Pitts Live after work and places like that, they see me, and I'm moving around, I'm accessible. I want to be accessible, especially for my own people. Right. I never want to abandon my own people. I want my own people to know that I'm accessible. You can get to me. You see the personality on television, on social media, and all of that. But for all practical purposes, it's the same guy. Social media has allowed people to get to me who couldn't get to me before, because you had to have your phone number.
Social media is a wonderful thing.
Right. They can go and hit me in a DM, I think they call it, right?
That's right, yeah.
Right. And they're like, hey. So I've been able to connect with a younger generation that way too, starting to see more, keeping fresh with young people coming on the television show doing their thing, and then we have the older, more mature people coming on doing their thing. So it's a good balance. And I know that on Sunday mornings, people are getting ready for church while they're watching the show. They're watching the show, they're running through different rooms, they got it on all the TVs, and some of the younger people tell me, my parents, everybody watching your show while we're getting ready for church. I see you all the time, so it's pretty cool.
Well, great. Well, thank you for answering my questions here on part 1, and thank you, everyone, for...
Hold up. I want to make you be a real talk show host. I'm going to interrupt you in the middle of your little spiel.
Uh-oh.
I want to be able to give a shout out to your dad. I know he watches the show all the time, and now is his name Joe North as well?
James North.
James, who's making you famous on TV. Now do your little thing.
Yeah, he loves you, by the way. He loves watching your show. But yeah, and thank you, everyone in Southwest Florida and beyond, for tuning in to this edition of Lee Pitts Live for the Lee Pitts Autobiography. This is part 1. Join in next week and watch part 2. More questions to come. Thank you. Welcome back, Southwest Florida. We're here for the second part of the Lee Pitts Autobiography. Thank you for joining us. And again, Lee, thank you for being a part of your show.
Hey, man, thank you for taking the time out from your busy schedule. You could be doing a million things, that you came here for your boy. Before we get going, I want to compliment you and let you know I'm proud of you, what you've been able to accomplish as one of our great legal minds here in the state of Florida and beyond. Your law firm has become a household name, the North Law Firm. People look up to you. And here's the cool part, Joe. So you think, you on this show and it's benefiting you or whatever. I know that I'm benefiting by being seen with you.
Iron sharpens iron.
So every time I get a chance, people, y'all might think I'm, pretty popular and everything. Every time I get a chance, I get photographed with Joe, I get close to Joe, but also when we and you are together, it shows another image. It shows two young black dudes who grew up together in the area, became reasonably well known at what we do, and we were able to work together on various things. And I said, Joe, I'm going to take you out of your element now. You're going to host Lee Pitts Live, and then when I go out of town or whatever I have to do, you can sit in for me. And you're like, hey, okay, I'm cool, Lee. Because I don't really see you doing no work. I know you work hard, but I never see, every time I see you chilling, you need to be chilling, going out like celebrities, all in New Orleans, all at this, all at this. Do you ever get a chance to work, man?
Well, what do they say? You work hard, you play hard.
Okay.
So,
you earned it, too.
you earned it, yeah. Well,
Right.
I appreciate that.
All right, thanks, man. You got a nice little setup here. Let people know where you're located and everything and what you do.
Well, we're on Metro Parkway, about a quarter-mile south of Gulf Coast Hospital. So everyone knows where Gulf Coast Hospital is, which is at the intersection of Daniels and Metro, and we're just south of that. And we're in the United Fidelity Bank building, got the entire second floor, and soon to be the entire building. And we're a full-service law firm for all your personal injury needs.
Oh, there you go. See that? Nice
Yeah.
plug. And people can see your little logo in one of these corners. I can't see it, people, but you see it, it's phone number right in one of the corners of the screen.
Well, thank you again. Thank you again. Well, Lee, let me ask you about this. Earlier this year, you were inducted into the Dunbar Hall of Fame, all right? And I was at that induction ceremony, and there was something that you said that really just resonated with me and stuck with me. You said that even though you were not born and raised in Dunbar, you felt very proud of the fact that Dunbar embraced you. And the only thing that you really wanted to do was not embarrass the people of Dunbar. And I sat there and I listened to that, and I'm thinking, but Lee, you've done the very opposite. You've shined a very positive and bright light and star on Dunbar. So I guess my question to you is, why was it or why is it so important to you to be embraced and loved by Dunbar?
Okay, so let me add some texture to that. I'd be happy to respond to it. And I want people to know that Joe's asking any questions he wants to ask, so give this guy an award. He's a great host. Some texture to it, people who are looking at us from outside this area as well. Dunbar is the largest African-American community here in the city of Fort Myers. We are here in the southwest corner of the state of Florida. And within that corner, there's a city called Fort Myers, and within that city, there's a black community, which is the largest community here. And the community has embraced me, and I've embraced the community. This is for people who, get some context of what we're talking about. When you just say Dunbar, okay, now, when you come here from out of town, and this is a message for everybody who's saying, I can't really get my foot on the ground here in Fort Myers, I'm from out of town, especially if you're African American, there's this whole net that I've never talked about in public, but I'm gonna talk about it now. And we need to break that net down. There's a net that you, almost like a force field that you have to go through to be accepted into the black community here. Now, I believe that no matter where you are in America, if you're black, and whatever community you go into, you just make your way and you do your life work there, you should be a part of that community. But you're still not from here. And everybody knows it, especially in a small town that has a tight-knit black community. A lot of people are growing old and dying off now, so you got a new generation. The university, South Florida Gulf Coast, and all that, they brought in whole new black professionals.
Right.
So I've been doing what I've been doing for a long time, right? And here it is, 28 years later, I get inducted into the Dr. Martin Luther King Dunbar Hall of Fame. To me, sure, I had done a lot of stuff long before then, but I understood, hey, you got to pay your dues. And so by them recognizing me and inducting me into that Hall of Fame was even more of an accomplishment by our own people. Because our own people, they don't just embrace you as quickly. I'm just saying, in general, black people, you have to earn that respect. We have a high bar you have to rise over. And once you can rise over or raise up to that bar, then you get accepted for having accomplished something. You'll hear comedians talk about, hey, the hardest crowd for me to make laugh, the black comedians, is the black audience, because they're not gonna just laugh at anything. The hardest crowd for me to get to love my music is my black people, because they know good music. They They watch it, they know good music. If it's not good, they're not gonna accept you. You're gonna have to come back and prove it. Give me another record. Make a better record. So the sum total of it, swimming, the banking profession, the television show, and all of that eventually culminated. I didn't, of course I didn't do it for any awards. I got, hundreds of awards. That particular award, it was like well earned, and I appreciate the people for doing that. And that's why when I went up there, I said, hey, first of all, I'm not from this community, but my life work has been in this community. I appreciate you guys. They skipped a lot of people to get to me. And a lot of other people from Dunbar could have gotten the award. And secondly, my main thing was never to embarrass our own people. Nobody can point to a show where I embarrass somebody, because there's a way you can do it and still send an image. Because I know when people looking at this TV show, they see a black person. They know I'm black, okay? I have all types of races on here, but there's always a black person on the show. People say, well, how is it always a black person on the show? I watched your show the other day and all your guests were white. Hey, I'm black.
That's right.
Right. Oh, yeah, I forgot all about that. So I get a good laugh out of that. I don't hide the whole thing that I'm black and try to cross over, let people cross over to me.
You coming up in the Dunbar community, and I guess it made me think about how when you and I first met each other, you were the first African-American vice president at one of the local banks here.
Mm-hmm. That would be First Union.
First Union Bank,
at the
that's
time,
right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At the time, I was the first African-American to work for a private law firm here in town, and you and I became friends. And it was during a time when, unfortunately, there were not a lot of young black professionals in town, either moving to Fort Myers or coming back after they had gotten their degree. So I guess my question to you is, fast forward, 25, 30 years now, what is your message or recommendation to, say, someone who grows up here, goes off to college, do they come back? Or someone who's never been here but is considering moving to Fort Myers? These young black professionals, what's your message to them?
This opportunity here, okay? And this is a growing area. It's opportunity. You can come here and realize all of your dormant capabilities, actually, as opposed to going into a place where everything is already established. So, like, even when I came here, I didn't know I was going to be, when I transferred here, I was already a vice president. I was in Jacksonville. I was a little young prodigy, and I moved through the ranks really quickly. So by age 29, I was a vice president. So when I came here, I didn't know people were going to be looking around like, hey, this guy's the only black vice president. I didn't know that either. I thought it might be, just hadn't thought about it. But that's opportunity there, because what? Then they started noticing, the community started noticing me and started inviting me out to things to speak. Pastors would be, back in the 90s, I would be speaking in pulpits on Sundays, like, oh, this is something big here. Right. And I started taking advantage of that. What I mean by that is, first, we need people to keep their human capital here. I feel like I'm from here now. I'm from here. My majority of my adult life has been spent in Fort Myers, so I'm from here. I got my Birmingham connection, but basically I'm from Fort Myers for all practical purposes, okay? And I'm from Dunbar. I'm proud to say I'm from Dunbar. I'm a native son, so Dunbar has allowed me that privilege. Willie Battle has christened me as being from Dunbar. That's cool. So bring that human capital back, right? Keep the human capital here, because opportunity is here. This place is booming, it's growing, it's diverse. And if you have to go out somewhere and get a certain amount of skills and still can't bring them back, there's gonna be so many opportunities here for you, because people are looking for quality professionals. And then you can contribute to a community or area in general that needs the flow of more African-American professionals here who can basically change the dynamics of how everything happens here. We got people like, say, for example, people on the city councils here now who are African American. They're able to be influential. We got people we can actually touch, we can talk to. Like we can talk to Joe North. We can actually talk to a real attorney. In fact, you were probably the first real attorney that I ever talked to. Just like black guy walking around an attorney, and you were across the street. You don't remember this. You were across the street, and everybody had kept telling me that, calling me Joe North. That was when I was handsome like you. And so I was like, finally I saw you across the street. I said, that must be a Joe North guy. It was a little sandwich shop across from the bank. You were like right around in that area. And then we kind of waved across the street and we ended up hooking up. And then next thing you know, we went off into becoming friends and having lunch. But you came back to the community. The fact that you left the community and came back and you were already secure in who you were, you didn't have a problem with other professionals coming here. See, like white people listening to this saying, what is Lee talking about? So it's this whole crabs in a barrel kind of thing. I've been lucky I've gotten past it. But I could see younger ones. That's why I embrace younger people who come from out of town. Say, hey, you know, do this, come here, do this. We'll introduce you to this, put you on a TV show, let people know about you so you can get your little swerve on. Right. And it's an easier transition than to just walk up and do things. But you gotta do genuine things. People see you doing genuine things. Like all those years I was at the swimming pool, which I just thought was just, hey, I'm over here teaching kids to swim. People knew I was doing it for free. They said, hey, this dude's over here for free. He's not over here trying to grandstand, teaching all these kids to swim. He's doing it for free. Wow. Then when people start coming to me talking about, hey, making it a big deal that I was teaching kids how to swim for free, I didn't understand. Why are you making this a big deal? I'm just, there are coaches who come into neighborhoods and teach football for free, Little League football. They come into neighborhoods and they teach Little League baseball for free, soccer, everything else. I just happen to be a black guy who had this unique set of skills. I come into the neighborhood and I work with black kids, teaching them how to swim for free. It's the same thing, just something you do after work, and it just manifested itself. Wow. Unique set of skills, that's all it was. And I just luckily got that unique set of skills through selling soda balls as a kid, got paid for my swimming lesson, and I became a swimming instructor.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, for the young professionals out there listening, you just dropped a lot of wisdom and knowledge on them, and I'm glad that you did.
But you've never been in that category either. You probably don't even think about you, that local dude. Let me just add this before you do this. You can continue to bridge the bridge, or build the bridge. Like, say, for example, people see me with Joe North. Hey, he's the local guy. Joe, now you're a legend, you're a local guy, track star and all that. They see us from out of town hanging out with you. Damn, we cool. Go ahead.
I'm glad it all works out.
Yeah, it all works out. You don't even know you're doing it.
No. One of the things that I'm sure all of you out there in Southwest Florida know about and that Lee has been responsible for is the Lee Pitts Live After Work.
Oh.
It is a new thing that he's done that has been so positive for all of the professionals, and not just Fort Myers, but Lee County and Southwest Florida. And it's my understanding that you are going to allow a Joe North, Benita North Soul Train line at your next Lee Pitts Live and event. And what I think about when I think about the Soul Train line is Mr. Don Cornelius. And I understand that he has some importance to you. What is that?
Okay. Well, let me back up for a minute. Okay. First of all, to have the North Law Firm, Benita and Joe North Soul Train line, that's a huge thing. And I started when you gave me that idea, I said, no, I'm starting to rub off on Joe. I don't know if you remember when I texted you back and I said, yeah. Joe, I'm starting to rub off on you because your mind be thinking, because I'm always sitting around thinking how to make something better. I had never thought about that. Right. And now everybody's like, hey, how do I get in the Soul Train line contest and all that with a cash prize? So I think that's going to be a huge hit. People are going to be coming in from everywhere trying to I hope no professional dancers come in here and try to get slide in there and win that prize. So that's a cool idea, and Lee Pitts Live After Work is a great spinoff from the TV show. Right. Of course, I'm not into that world, but of doing social events, but I sort of like morphed into that world. I need to explain that to people because people kept telling, after I had my 25th anniversary celebration, I think you and Benita were there, brought the star quality and everything. Then people kept saying, we ain't gonna do another one. I said, well, 25 years from now. And they were like, no, you need to do that like next week. I'm like, do you think I'm gonna put all that energy into this? Well, rented the club downtown, had a live band. It was like a nice little thing there. So we waited 3 years. That's how long it was before I went back and started doing that. So like, the people kept still bumping into me, we need to get together. We don't have anywhere to get together. And it's essentially like a lot of African Americans and minorities and whites too. But let's be clear, it's mostly African Americans. We're not shaming that. And then we have a way we come together and we have a great time after work on Fridays, every other month. So the Don Cornelius. Okay. So as a child, I used to watch Soul Train just like everybody else.
That's right.
I watched American Bandstand first, and then this black show came on. This guy with the fro, cool glass, everything. You could bet your last money it's all gonna be a Stone Gas, honey. So important. We wish you love, peace, and soul. Right. So of course I'm imitating him. I'm imitating guys on the radio. I'm working on this whole DJ thing because I thought I was gonna be a DJ one day. At the end of the show, I would always say, "This has been a Don Cornelius production." Okay, I didn't know what all that meant at the time. So as time went on, I'm like, Soul Train, Don Cornelius, Don Cornelius. Then I started getting older and start understanding who he worked for, who did he work for, how did all that go? Then this book comes out, Soul Train, the hippest trip in America. Just a book. I started reading it, boom, 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 boom. And just as I thought, Don Cornelius owned that television show. And every Saturday morning, he's putting hundreds of black people on television. He never really got the recognition. Every Saturday morning, hundreds of people dancing on TV. More people on TV on Don Cornelius. The only show back then that had more black people at one time on television would probably be Roots. Okay? So that's like, okay, he's okay, and he owns it. How's he doing that? Okay, and how is he not, how like Essence magazine used to be owned by whites, and now I think it's back in black hands. People don't know all these things, all these black iconic things that we had, different things in the economy and what have you, and they sold them to big, large white corporations. BET is owned by CBS, which is owned by Viacom. We're looking at BET, black programming, but it's owned by whites at the top. And then they're making the money off advertising, putting black programming on. So I said, did Don Cornelius ever sell out or anything? No, I read through the book, and he talked about how he got it started. So I read that book about 15 years ago, and it just inspired me. It's like, hey, I can do like Don Cornelius. I can continue to put positive images forward, still be in control of everything, even when places like CNN come calling, and as soon as I posted it, you like, leave, what? And I was like, it was really no big deal. I just threw it out there, because it's like, that's not going to happen, okay?
Right.
I don't have to be a guy who's rich beyond his dreams and all these kind of things. I just need to be able to wake up and know that I'm making some kind of contribution. I'm happy about what I do. I'm happy about the people I present. And my son can look at these kind of things and say, okay, Dad did a little something with his life, and people can feel proud of what they're looking at. So my homage, I like to pay a special homage to the person who influenced me the most was Don Cornelius. Now, there were a couple of people I watched on television to train me to do TV.
Okay.
Don Cornelius was one. I would watch him, how he introduced people, how he closed out and all of that. Brian Gumbo, I watched him on the Today Show when he was there as a staple on the Today Show for many years, especially when I first came on television. Brian Gumbo was the co-host on the Today Show with Kitty Couric, and I used to watch him and Jane Pauley and all that, and how he did the Today Show. I just be getting ready for work. I wasn't thinking I was going to be on TV one day. I just be getting ready for work and have my television on in the morning. And I was like, this guy is pretty good. And then Donnie Simpson from Video Soul.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's it. Well, Donnie Simpson's so smooth.
Right.
Come on TV, have all these entertainers.
Mr.
People.
Green Eyes, right?
BET so smooth, talking to Bobby Brown and talking to Anita Baker and all that. So I watched that. Now I'm watching Video Soul to watch Video Soul. But at the same time, I'm admiring how smooth this cat is. Doesn't even look like he's using a teleprompter. So I'm watching it, I'm picking up little things. And then eventually when I hit television, even though I started training for television when I was 10 years old and didn't know it by imitating DJs on the radio. So that's why I can sit here. I can interview a wide range of people from all different areas. I can interview the president. You can put President Obama right here, right now. I can interview him off the cuff with no notes from reading, being knowledgeable of a lot of topics. Then you can put a little hip hop artist right here. In 5 seconds, I can interview him. Then you can come back and you can put a great educator here, president of a college. You can put a renowned attorney like yourself sitting here. And I can go from all those different genres comfortably by watching Donnie Simpson do his entertainment thing, by watching Don Cornelius do what he does, and then watching Brian Gumbo with the straight lace down the middle and how to conduct what I call a meat and potatoes type interview. People enjoy you being diverse in all those areas. And I never went to school for any television.
You took a little bit from all of them.
A little bit from all of
them.
them. Yeah, it's no different than what we saw growing up. Our daddies, our granddaddies, our uncles, our cousins, the guy down the street, shade tree. He's got a car in the yard. He learned how to fix cars. Now he's running a business. You go down there to Mr. Willie house. He can fix your car, put your new carburetor in there for little or no money instead of taking it to the dealership. Everybody figuring out how to make things work. You know, they rigging up something, rigging up this. Black people in particular, we can rig up some food, we can rig up some things and make it work. We can rig up a bicycle, we can rig it up. We just watch somebody do it. My uncle, self-taught, he's a mechanic. He just watch how they fix the cars. Next thing you know, he's a mechanic, he's fixing cars. And that's the same thing. I just watched it on television. Okay, commercial break, okay.
Boom.
Right. And then I ended up in television, which is a whole nother story.
All right. Let me ask you a question about the issue of race, because I know that here in America, regardless of your age or your popularity or your financial status, we in the black community we're still subjected to racism. So my question to you is, how have you handled the issue of racism in your personal life as well as in your professional life?
Okay, that's a very good question. Now, and they both cross-pollinate. I mean, I'm black no matter wherever I go, I'm black. Luckily for me, I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, where race was always in the forefront early on in life. When we were little kids, we would be sitting around talking about race because Birmingham is known for racial tensions. And in 1963, I think it was, when the 16th Street Baptist Church was bombed, I was a little boy at the time. My mom talked about the church being bombed, and a lot of the civil rights movement took place in Alabama, and specifically in Birmingham, the fire hoses, the dogs, and all that, so you just engulfed with it. Even on our field trips, when we were little kids, you go on a field trip, I went to all-black schools. By the way, make sure I let people know this, I went to all-black elementary school. We didn't have a middle school then, so 1st to 8th grade, all-black. Then I went to all-black high school, went to all-black college, went to black grad school, Atlanta University. So my whole experience has been that, okay? And I was comfortable in that. I was, dated black girls, and that was my life. Okay, so, and I'm happy with that. Okay, so anyway, early on, I started dealing with race early on. Like my mom used to say, don't go over there. You get caught over there out the dark. She told me and my brother, don't go to that side of this town, which might be like 2 blocks away. Get caught over there on the south side out the dark, they might mess with you. So just kind of grow up kind of knowing about this stuff. Didn't even, just acclimated to this stuff like 7, 8 years old. So anyway, race for me has not been a hindrance. And I think it has not been a hindrance because of those experiences and people saying be prepared. I don't know where people may have discriminated against me in a heavy way. I'm sure they have, but I haven't been able to really put my hands on it because I, like a miracle in some ways, came right out of grad school, went right into a corporate job in the bank, okay? Then I got promoted, just like everybody else got promoted in the bank. Now, I saw other people who didn't get promoted who may have been qualified to be promoted who were black, but one reason or another, they didn't get promoted. So, Arthur Ashe. I know it might sound crazy, but it'll make sense in a minute. So growing up, my idol was Arthur Ashe, the tennis great, the philanthropist, civil rights activist later on in his life, died from complications from AIDS through heart blood transfusion, okay? So I was one of the kids walking around the neighborhood whose idol was Arthur Ashe because I played tennis at a young age in high school. I was on the tennis team, and I did what they would call so-called white boy sports. So I was a swimmer, I played tennis, people would see me, and in those environments, I'll always be around white people. I'll be racing in swim meets against whites, in the locker room against whites, playing tennis against whites who were pretty good tennis players. Okay. And my friends would call me Arthur Ashe. So I learned about Arthur Ashe, I met him. He said, hey, the kids had told him when he came out to the park after he had won the U.S. Open, this was when we were younger, he had won the U.S. Open, he became this national figure. I didn't know him at the time. He comes out to the park in Birmingham. He was going all around the country doing swimming clinics. Now, tennis clinics. That inspired me. That's why I still do swimming clinics around the country. But he came in the hood, gave all of us these little rinky-dinky tennis rackets, introduced us to tennis, gave us a ball. We had 3 balls. He talked to us, and then he asked us what we wanted to be when we grow up. So we went to all the different kids who were sitting on the merry-go-round, and they go, they're going to be a football player, basketball player, and so on. Got to me, I said, I want to be a basketball player, something like that. Then all the kids said, hey, he's a good swimmer. And asked her, oh, you're a great swimmer? I'm like, well, okay. They were like, he's the best. He said, why don't you say you want to be a swimmer? Why don't you could probably be a lifeguard one day or a swim instructor. He first planted the seed in my head. So then, after he died, I read his book, Days of Grace. Great book. Encourage anybody to read Days of Grace. In his book, Arthur Ashe said, racism was the the hardest thing that he had to deal with in life. He said, winning the U.S. Open, winning Wimbledon, all those things didn't matter. It was overcoming all the barriers that were put in front of him in terms of race.
Okay.
But he said that if you're black, you're going to get a lot of attention. So you're going to get even more attention if you're good, like the Williams sisters, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, what have we, Oprah Winfrey. See, we know Oprah Winfrey more than we would any other. You're going to get more attention on you. And if when the attention is focused on you and you perform and you good at it, whether I'm in the bank or whether I'm on television or I'm at the swimming pool, the moment they see, hey, this is a black guy, he's a high-end swimming instructor, everybody come with the cameras, focusing on your camera, TV shows, want to interview you, and then if you're good, you benefit from it. Ash said that. He said, I knew if I would do well in tennis, I would get a lot of attention down the road. And if I was good, I was going to get even more attention, Tiger Woods and so on. So this whole thing about you have to be twice as good, I don't believe in that now. I don't believe that in literal sense. I believe I know what people are trying to teach you when they say you got to be 5 times better and all of that. The reason I say that, and it's good that I'm saying this on television, is in the real world, if you deal with top-end professionals who are good at what they do, and they white, and they're good at what they do, you're not going to ever be 5 times better than them. You're a top-end lawyer. You work with some great white lawyers too, but you're not 5 times better than them. You might be better, but 5 times, that's a lot. That's a lot of stress to put on any children too, to say, hey, you got to be 5 times better. Serena Williams, she's not 5 times better than the top tennis players. Tiger Woods is not 5 times better than the top golfers. He's better than them. So you have to put in that work to be better, to succeed, but be realistic too, because that's unnecessary stress. Or you pounding your kid, you got to be 5 times better. It's just physically impossible, mentally impossible to be 5 times better than somebody who's great. Other people are great too. You can just be better, and you'll succeed.
Great answer. Great information. Thank you. So, Lee, I know that you've been really successful in 3 different careers: the banking career, the TV talk show career, and the swimming. But of those 3, which would you believe has had the most impact upon other individuals?
That's a good one. Take banking out. Take banking out.
Okay.
Swimming and TV are kind of neck and neck. Swimming.
Okay, and why?
Swimming wins.
And why?
Swimming, teaching swimming. Okay, so I've taught thousands of children how to swim. I've taught hundreds of adults how to swim. And I had no idea that that was what would be something that I would actually be doing.
Okay.
So when I first started learning how to swim at a young age, you know, selling soda bottles to pay my way in and all of that, because my mom couldn't afford to pay for it. I had no idea. Then once I got into college and started coming home and being a lifeguard and then becoming a swimming instructor, and all I wanted to do was get out of swimming. Man, I'm in this swimming. I got to get out of this swimming. I got to get a real job. I can't keep working at these swimming pools. I got to keep coming home with all this chlorine on me. I want a suit and tie. I want to use my brains. Not knowing to me that developing those swim skills and coaching those swim teams at an early age would allow me to meet so many people, so many parents, talk to parents, meet parents who got children in swim programs, then start teaching kids how to swim. And then all these kids would grow up and come back and say thank you. And then the unique thing about all of that is there would be no television show without me being a swimming instructor. Okay, so here's how all this worked out. People find this fascinating. Is that when I started teaching swimming, it opened up so many other doors for me. I got discovered in television because I was going on shows talking about swimming. I wasn't trying to be a TV talk show host. Just like you're here now talking to me, you're a lawyer, but you got capable skills to be in television anytime you want to. So back in the 90s, when you remember my rise to fame as a swimming instructor, and I was doing NBC2 here locally. I was doing commercials on there talking about swimming in water. Say they had on a little black suit.
Yeah.
You know, that's another story. But I was wearing a wetsuit before skin tights were popular. People would stop me. You the guy in the wetsuit. The girls, you look good in the wetsuit. So anyway, then I started getting called on radio shows, and TV shows to talk about swimming and water safety. While I'm on these shows talking about swimming and water safety, then I get up and I go back to work, go back to the bank, whatever I was doing. The guy, the general manager at the television station, said, "Hey, you ever thought about being in television?" I'm like, no. I'm busy. I got my swimming thing, my TV thing. He said, "You never been in television before, anything?" I'm like, no. He said, "Well, you come over here and you talk about this swimming thing, so naturally you could have your own TV show if you were interested." And I'm like, no, I'm not interested in being on television. And I went on about my merry way. He kept calling me. Hugh Boyd kept calling me. "And I want to build a television show around you. I want you to host the show." And then one time he called me, he said, "If you don't host this show," he told me, white guy, he said, "Hey, I want to be the first person in the area to have a television show hosted by a black person. I want to be first." He had a low power cable state channel, WBR. He said, "If you don't host this show, there will be no show hosted by a black person, because I don't have anybody else in mind. You, with your background in banking, your swimming background, your ability to relate to people, you can talk about all kinds of topics. You're a regular person. You can, if somebody see you sitting there talking to a politician, they're gonna see you as a bank vice president talking to a politician, so they'll be believable. This guy's believable. Then if they see you there talking to the children, they know that's that swimming guy talking to the children. It's believable. So you got this wide range background that you can do a lot of things without any prep. I don't really have to have all that much prep because I just read a lot of the time." And when he told me if I didn't do it, because I turned him down 3 times, and so I finally said, okay, I go back to him and I ask for all these things. If he wants me to host this show, it must be benefiting his pockets. My plan was, hey, I go on TV. I have copies, VHS cassettes sitting on the shelf. When I grow old, I'll be able to stick it in and VCR. Because DVDs weren't invented then, and I'll be able to show somebody, hey, I hosted a TV show for a few months. You know, like a conversation piece, somebody come over to the house. Would you believe I hosted a TV show for about 6 months?
You didn't know it was going to morph into what it morphed into.
All right, as I would stick this thing in, and everybody be sitting there, "You used to be on TV?" "Yeah, back in the 90s. I hosted for 6 months. It was called Lee Pitts Live or whatever." But by that time, it was called Up Close with Lee Pitts. The news press writes in the newspaper that, you know, that I had done a great job on Lee Pitts Live, interviewing those politicians, moderating that debate.
Well, I tell you what, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that swimming, your profession in swimming has been the most impactful, because what I remember you and I talking about more than 20 years ago is that, you know, you teaching swimming is really saving lives, okay? Because in our community, for one reason or the other, our youth, meaning black youth, don't know how to swim, and it accounts for a lot of the drownings and deaths.
Absolutely.
And I remember you telling me that Dade County, it was before it became Miami-Dade, it was Dade County, the county commissioners, they brought you before the commission.
That's right.
To teach them and to teach the county the significance of black youth learning how to swim.
Correct.
And that's what you are still doing your thing over here in Fort Myers.
That's
They brought
right.
you all the way over to Miami to teach them.
Those lawyers too, though. It's
Yeah.
it's 2 parts to that. You got the gist of it, because your memory serves you well. Well, first of all, certain cultural sensitivities allow you to do certain things. So by me growing up in the African American community and learning to swim in the African American community, and having a lot of people around me who could swim back then. Luckily, we lived in the housing projects that had a swimming pool up the street, so I got exposed. Okay, a lot of places don't even have a swimming pool to get exposed. We take it for granted here in Fort Myers. You got the Stars Complex and a few other places in Dunbar, but it's most inner city communities don't have a public swimming pool. The government don't want to invest that kind of money in maintaining a swimming pool. They say it's too expensive. They like to just put up some basketball courts and keep it moving. Which is so vital, because swimming can save lives. It's not like it's a sport. It saves lives. That was learn to swim at a high level at a young age. So one day my phone rings, right? One night, I don't know if I sent you that article. They called me up and said they need me to testify in a court case, a huge court case in Broward County.
Okay, that's
right. So I didn't know how big this case was. Okay, so they were going to in this black community, they were going to dig up a lot of the dirt on this golf course they were going to build a lot of houses there. And people find this interesting when you dig up like a golf course is for sale, and you dig it up and you get to the water and you take all that extra dirt as a part of the foundation, you're going to build all these houses on the whole golf course that's closed down, you're going to turn it. And you're going to create like 40 feet deep ponds, 50 feet deep ponds going to be like we ride around here in Fort Myers all the time. We see all these ponds with fountains coming out. They're pretty deep. It's a standard part of Florida.
Yeah, these retention ponds,
right? They turn it into something beautiful by putting a little fountain in there, but they're dangerous.
Right.
Okay, so the black community did not want that big pond. Well, the black community didn't want the new construction to come there that could drive down their property values. This is one of the upscale black communities in Broward County, and they didn't want them building affordable homes in there. It was like it's still a popular upscale black community. And long story short, though, so the lawyers called me up. I didn't know all of this. They called me up, hey, we need you to come and testify in this case as our expert witness. Expert witness on what? Drowning, putting all this water in the inner city community where black people can't swim could lead to drowning. That was the case. That was the position they were going to take to keep that construction from happening. And then I'll say, well, what kind of barriers are going to be around the water and how deep is the water is going to be and so on and so forth. Now, these lawyers, they did research to find me credible to be their expert witness. I don't know how they find you. I think I'm just an isolated person living over here.
No, when you're great, they find you.
And so I went up as an expert witness, and I took the position to that pond of water, that large pond, 30, 40 feet deep water that was going to be in that community for a long period of time, that wasn't going to have any fences around it, any barriers around it, was a hazard. And it was like a multi-million-dollar case. They were not able to do that big construction, Joe. They were not able to do it. They stopped the construction. I testified. I did the cross-examination. They identified me as an expert. And since that time, I constantly get called to be the expert witness in different drowning cases and things of that nature, which I never thought would ever spun off. It's a nice little piece of change along the way.
I mean, you really had 3 great careers already, all right? And you're still pretty young, but have you thought about what's your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan? What does the future hold for Lee Pitts?
First of all, having 3 particular disciplines that you do requires time management, right? So when college students, when I go and speak in high school, they say, how did you do all 3 things? I said, time management. And, but all of them happen in different sequences. First, I was a little young swimming instructor. I went to college. Swim skills are there. I'm trained. I'm certified. I got all these different degrees, scuba diving, so on and so forth. Get to college, I get my technical, formal training in business. I become a banker. I'm a banker for a minute. I developed that and get tight with that. Then I end up in television. So I did them all in different compartments. And as I was doing them, they started layering on top of each other. And I didn't realize that 3 things had layered on top of each other until somebody asked me, told me I was doing 3 things. And I thought, well, I am doing 3 things. It had layered on top.
But it was natural for you.
Right. I didn't realize they had layered. Here's what I also didn't realize, and I thought about it. I said, nobody at home ever asked me that. My mom, my sisters, my brother, they never say, how do you do 3 things? I go home, they know I do 3 things. And I realized the reason they never asked, because when we were growing up, we were always hustling. My mom don't like me to use the word hustling, but we were always trying to find a way to make ends meet. So you have a little job here, you had a little job here, shining shoes over here, washing somebody's car over here, cutting somebody's grass over there.
Right.
Trying to make a ends meet, get a penny, put it together and get you a quarter and dollar and all that. Okay. So back to your original question, which was?
What's your 5-year plan? Your
5-year plan. Okay, 5-year plan. I don't have a 5-year plan. I found out that if I set a plan like that, I would miss out on opportunities to make a fork in the road. Everything that happened to me, I look at it along the way. I had this thing all mapped out. When I get out of college, I was going to do this, I was going to do that, and didn't even have TV in the works. Didn't have being a renowned swimming instructor in the works, going into the Swimming Hall of Fame, into that kind of stuff. It was just, I was going to get me a job at the bank. And so when this guy was calling me to host that television show, I was like, nah, I'm over here in the bank. I don't want to be in the spotlight, and I don't want people to know what I really think. I don't want those people at the bank, those white people at the bank, to see me on television and think that I'm a little Malcolm X.
Okay.
Okay, because I still got my concern about my own people. If they see me on television and say, hey, he's walking around here being Barack Obama at the bank, but when we see him on television, this dude is radical, this dude is conscious, this dude cares about his people, they get to see the other side of me, and then you want to play that little straight lace role at work. So I'm saying this now because I don't care, because nobody can do anything to me now. But back then it was like, hey, I'm trying to rise up here, I'm trying to wear my little blue suit, I'm trying to blend in and be da-da-da-da. So I didn't want to be on TV, I want to do that. I had my little mindset. This guy kept calling me out. Willie Green comes up to the bank that I told you about, told me I needed to get in the community. I started teaching swimming. That wasn't in the cards. I was done with swimming. I said, I don't want no more chlorine on me. I don't want to do that anymore. I got me a professional job now. Next thing you know, I'm taking off my suit, putting on my swimming trunks, I'm back in the water. I'm still teaching. Okay. I didn't plan that, 5-year plan. I started getting off my plan. My plan was to work at the bank, keep my head down, retire, get my little gold watch, and a nice little retirement plan. So if I found out that if you get two structures, just like if you get two structures, like Joe, you're going down this road, and you don't plan on owning your own building. You just kind of go in that room and lawyer, and other opportunities come. The next thing you know, you own your own building. Now you got your building, then you get another building. The next thing you know, you're going down the road and be a lawyer. Next thing you know, you get a firm. It get bigger and get bigger. Because your 5-year plan starts. I got to deviate over here a little bit. Got to deviate over here. Next thing you know, because if you get too regimented, opportunities will pass you right by. They'll pass you right by because you're so locked. Along that way is part of the mind of a person. The mind.
Okay.
People will limit you. They are limiting you because they have limited themselves, because society has allowed them to limit themselves. They get a certain degree, certain education, and they locked into that and think that's what they're supposed to do the rest of their lives, because people say you're supposed to do one thing. Like I told you, I realized I was doing 3 things and I did it, okay? But you are not a robot.
Right.
I repeat, we are not robots. We get an education to learn how to learn and do things. Just because you got a degree in a certain area doesn't mean that you can't spin off and do other things. I tell people, if you cut hair now and you're a good barber and you go to school and you get your law degree, keep on cutting that little hair on the side, okay? If you know how to paint cars and do body work, keep doing that on the side, because you can still build that company up too, and you can do your law practice over here too. Don't give away skills that you've been blessed with and you trained to do. Don't just give them away because society say you can't do 2 things.
Transferable skills that you always talk about.
That's right.
That's right.
So you could be doing this over here. I'm telling everybody out there who got those little skills, whatever you do, you can sew a little bit, you can do hair, whatever you can do, makeup, whatever, nails, whatever, and you go off and do that. If you can do construction work and you know how to build houses, and you go off and you get your degrees and now you're a doctor, have your little house building on the side. Build a house, sell a house, build a house, sell a house on the side. Don't let that go away because people tell you can't do 2 things. So me, I could be doing the swimming thing over here, I could be doing the TV thing over here, be doing the banking thing over here, and it all works out because you become an expert at something.
All right.
Become an expert at something. Okay? All in the bonus. We good, Joe? This is to the people. Become an expert. Arthur Ashe talked about it in his book, Days of Grace. Be an expert at something. Okay? Once you're an expert at something, all those other things that you can do, this is your foundation where you're the expert. You're expert at this law thing. But I see you doing your little other stuff, okay? You do your marketing, you do a little marketing here, you do a little real estate here, you help the community there, you're thinking, you're wise. Now, to be an expert at something though, that's your foundation. In my particular case, I was expert at swimming, like high levels, okay? No better swimming instructor. I'm not bragging, I haven't seen one better, okay? And people who see me teach and know what I do in the aquatics field, they know what's up. They know what's up. They know what's up, okay? And I sit on a lot of boards at the national level in aquatics, okay? Then in banking, becoming an expert at that, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't really impact the community though, you're just a corporate guy, okay? Then the TV show, becoming an expert at that, expert at 3 different things, your mind. I probably could go out and learn to play an instrument if I put my mind to it. So you don't let people limit you like you're a robot. Stick in a chip, I do this, I do that, blah, 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 R2D2. I went to school for this, so I can't do that, R2D2. I can't sew, I can't make stuff, I can't be a flooring guy like some of my buddies, they lay floors, make a lot of money. I can't be a plumber too on the side. And then, if you're good at it, you can create the company and let other people run it.
That's right.
But you know what they're looking at. You know what you're looking at over there. So if I know what I'm looking at on swimming. I don't have to do it. I get all y'all young guys, y'all get enough with y'all speedos, y'all do y'all thing. Okay? Same thing with this TV show. More and more, you're seeing more and more people hosting the show. I don't really care. Come host the show. Get your little spurb on. Get your little comfortable. You start your own show. Go do your thing. I can watch, So just open it up for everybody.
I love it. It's something you said about, not really letting other people dictate and create distractions for you. It reminds me something of what LeBron James says often, and that is, you keep the main thing the main thing. So you know what it is that has really been your base to get you to your prominence. And other things can come up and you can dabble in them, but you always got to keep the main thing, which is your brand, the main thing.
Right. The main thing, especially for our race. We don't have the luxury of limiting ourselves. If you got some skills and some other opportunities and other things that you can do, go ahead and build on that because you can pass that down to the next generation.
That's right. We want to get you out of here on this.
All right, bro.
I know a lot of people ask you this question. I think I already know the answer. But with you having such a voice for our community and so many people listening to you, are politics at any point may it be in your future?
Politics. No.
I knew it.
Okay, now, it crossed my mind a couple of times when people ask me about it, and then other politicians ask me about it all the time. I'll give you a quick story on that. Okay. I like telling these stories. We're leaving this for the time capsule. Okay, so one time I was interviewing the mayor of the city, Jim Humphrey, on my show. Jim Humphrey, And he was running for mayor for the first time. He was running. He wasn't the mayor yet. Comes on my show. So I said, I'm going to have some fun. So I go, good morning, Southwest Florida. Welcome to another edition of Lee Pitts Live. I have a big announcement. He's sitting right there. I said, I have a big announcement. I will be running for the mayor of the city of Fort Myers. And then I kind of giggled, and then I turned to him, and we started joking about it. Then he said, Lee, you're making me nervous there for a minute. I said, well, I'm just playing. I told the TV audience, I'm just playing. Then I went on and did my interview with Jim Humphrey. And Jim Humphrey said on television that I would have been a formidable opponent. I was making him nervous. And I cleared it up that I wasn't running. We did the interview, and we were off television. That evening, when the show ran on television, remember my show used to come on in the evening? My phone started blowing up from the news press. Wink News, Fox 4, NBC 2, NBC 2 over here, right?
Yeah,
ABC 7.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we need some word from you. Here you running for mayor. Here you running for mayor. Here you running for mayor. And I was like, wow, they actually think that I could be a formidable opponent. Because what? Name recognition. That's the key, name recognition. They say you got name recognition, you can win. You're young, your banking background, this, that, and the other. And I was just playing around. When I started thinking about doing a political job and all that lying and all politicians don't lie, but all that politics and all that, I can't just command something to happen, work on it and make it happen. You got to do it approved by 1,000 people.
Isn't it interesting that
as you would say, it's a thankless job.
If you wanted to do it, though, you know that it's out there for you, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think I could.
You would be elected.
I could represent myself well, and I think there could be some possibilities. Things could happen. Name recognition is a big thing. Okay. Now, let's say in Southwest Florida, Fort Myers, name recognition, individual, not a name recognition. Okay. Somebody says Joe North. Everybody knows the name. Now, you had to build name recognition because people need to know about your firm, they need to know about you, they need to know how to get in touch with you. So you built this name recognition over a period of time, which is an asset. Capital. You could do whatever you want to do. You could be mayor easily. You could be city council easily.
Let me put it this way. My wife is not going to allow me to do it. Well, come back and join Lee Pitts Live next week when he will have the Children's Network of Southwest Florida. And until then, stay safe.